There may be legal trouble ahead. The latest from our daily newsletter at podnews.net. The UK's Advertising Standards Authority has upheld a complaint made against Huel and the Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett that a host-read podcast ad was not identified as an ad, and that it was in a similar style and tone to the editorial material, and therefore not differing significantly between the two. As Podmov Daily suggests, the ruling is worth taking note of. Also worth taking note of, Oprah Winfrey's company has filed a lawsuit against fan podcast Oprah-demics from Radiotopia. The filing claims that Oprah's trademarks are being misused and that it's an unauthorized attempt by the hosts to capitalize from the Oprah effect. Perhaps all fan podcasts may be on dubious legal territory, given that they need to use trademark names to make it obvious what they're about. In the squeeze, Sky Pillsbury highlights a company selling a podcast training program for $4,000, which Pillsbury suggests is little more than an unpaid internship. Podcast hosting company Co-Host has gained IAB certification for its analytics. The company only launched in May. The Publisher Podcast Summit on October the 5th in London has released its agenda. You can use Podnews 15 to save 15%. Advertising on ARN's iHeart Podcast Network Australia is twice as effective as the global benchmark, according to new figures from Podsites. And the podcast Bus claims it's the only mobile recording studio in Los Angeles inside a converted school bus. It's owned by Daniel LaBelle, who's managed to make the air conditioning completely silent. Now, we don't normally mention our tips and tricks in our podcast version, but you'll find them almost every day in our newsletter at podnews.net. You should be subscribing. For example, today, Pippa Johnston from Pacific Content writes about how to protect your hearing, and the podcast host covered how to negotiate fair rates for podcast editors. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories and subscribe, we're at podnews.net.